Long before humans had ventured to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, a legend had been passed down through the stars. It was a story so ancient, so terrifying, that even the bravest of warriors shuddered at the thought of it. The tale spoke of a creature, a beast of unimaginable power, whose very presence had once caused entire civilizations to crumble. The sacred beast, they called it. The creature's origins were lost in the mists of time. Some said it had been created by an ancient race, one so advanced that their technology seemed like magic. Others whispered that it was a force of nature itself, born of the stars and the very fabric of the universe. No matter the story, one thing remained the same. The sacred beast was an entity unlike anything the galaxy had ever known. With scales that glimmered like the night sky, the sacred beast towered above all other creatures, its size so vast that it could stride across entire continents in a single step. Its eyes, glowing with an eerie light, could see through the darkness of space and the deepest secrets of the galaxy. Its roar, when it echoed through the cosmos, would shake the foundations of planets, and the mere sound of it sent terror through the hearts of those who heard it. But it wasn't just its physical power that made the sacred beast so feared. It was the darkness that followed in its wake. Entire armies had tried to conquer it, only to be obliterated in moments. The beast seemed unstoppable, an unstoppable force that no one dared to challenge. Many had tried to capture or kill it, but all had failed, their ships and armies destroyed in the blink of an eye. The legend told of a prophecy, a time when the sacred beast would awaken from its slumber. The galaxy was not ready for such an event. It was said that when the beast rose, it would choose a rider, someone who could tame it, control it, and harness its unimaginable power. That rider would be able to change the fate of the universe. And whoever the rider was, the galaxy would never be the same again. For centuries, the galaxy's civilizations lived in fear, whispering about the day the sacred beast would return. Empires rose and fell, and the stories of the beast were passed down from generation to generation. Some believed the legend was just that, only a myth to frighten children and keep the peace. But others, those who had seen the beast's destructive power firsthand, knew the truth. The sacred beast was real, and it was waiting. In every corner of the galaxy, the threat of the beast hung over all who lived. But as the centuries passed, hope faded. The beast had not been seen in ages. The legends were fading, and many began to believe that the creature had vanished into the forgotten corners of the universe. Yet deep in the darkest recesses of space, in a place where no one dared venture, the sacred beast slumbered, waiting for the day it would be awakened once again. And when that day came, the galaxy would learn just how real the legend truly was. The question was, who would be the one to ride it? Who would dare face the creature that even the greatest armies feared? Little did the galaxy know, the answer was closer than they could ever imagine. Jace was not a man of great wealth or power. He wasn't a warrior, nor was he a member of any noble family. He was just a simple explorer, someone who roamed the farthest corners of the galaxy in search of adventure. He had no title, no army at his back, and no grand purpose, just a thirst for the unknown. Born on a small, forgotten colony at the edge of the galaxy, Jace had always been fascinated by the stories of old, especially the legends of the sacred beast. His parents had told him bedtime stories about it, warning him of its power and the destruction it had left in its wake. But unlike many who were frightened by the tales, Jace was intrigued. He wanted to understand it, to uncover the truth behind the myth. By the time Jace was in his 20s, he had already explored numerous planets, charting their mysteries and collecting forgotten artifacts. His name was becoming known among the small circles of explorers and archaeologists, but he had never once thought about seeking fame or fortune. He simply loved the thrill of discovery. One fateful day, as Jace was going through some ancient ruins on a long-forgotten planet, he stumbled upon a strange, dusty map. The map was unlike any other he had ever seen, and at first, he thought it was just another relic of some ancient civilization. But as he studied it more closely, he realized something shocking. It led to the lair of the sacred beast. Jace was stunned. How could this map be real? The sacred beast was nothing more than a legend, or so he thought. But something in the back of his mind told him this was more than just a story. He knew he had to find out for himself. Without hesitation, Jace packed up his things and, with a mix of excitement and trepidation, set off to find the beast's lair. His journey took him through dangerous asteroid fields, past ruined cities, and across hostile alien territories. Every time he encountered a new challenge, Jace simply pushed forward, driven by the desire to uncover the truth. For him, the thought of the sacred beast was no longer just a legend. It was an invitation to prove that he was capable of doing what no one else could, face the terror that had once ruled the galaxy. Days turned into weeks, and Jace's determination never wavered. The map seemed to guide him to places no human had ever set foot. And soon, he was in the heart of a forgotten galaxy, a place where even the bravest explorers dared not venture. It was here, in a remote system on the very edge of known space, that the sacred beast was said to rest. Jace's ship finally landed on a desolate planet, its surface covered in ruins from long-forgotten battles. As he stepped off the ship, the silence around him was deafening. The air was thick with the feeling of something ancient, something powerful, that had been waiting for this moment. He followed the map, his pulse racing with anticipation. With each step, he could feel the weight of the legend pressing down on him. But instead of fear, there was excitement. This was the moment he had always dreamed of. The chance to prove himself in the face of the greatest mystery the galaxy had ever known. He came upon a massive, dark cave, its entrance carved with strange symbols. Jace took a deep breath. This was it. He stepped inside, the darkness swallowing him whole. And there, in the depths of the cave, Jace saw it. The sacred beast, lying in slumber, was more magnificent and terrifying than he could have ever imagined. Its scales shimmered in the dim light, reflecting the ancient power that radiated from its massive form. Its eyes, though closed, seemed to glow faintly, as if it could feel his presence. The sheer size of the beast was enough to make Jace's heart race with both awe and fear. But unlike the stories he had heard, there was no roar, no explosion of energy. The beast simply lay there, waiting. Jace approached cautiously, feeling the immense power radiating from the creature. His heart pounded in his chest as he reached out to touch it, and in that moment, everything changed. The beast's eyes opened. Slowly, it rose, towering over Jace, and for a brief, terrifying moment, Jace thought it might strike him down in an instant. But then, something unexpected happened. The sacred beast did not attack. Instead, it lowered its massive head, as if acknowledging Jace's presence. The air around them seemed to crackle with energy. It was as if the creature could sense something in Jace, something different from the others who had tried to tame it. Jace stood frozen, his mind racing. He had read the stories, he had studied the legends, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Could it be? Could he really be the one to tame this sacred beast? As the creature's gaze locked with his, Jace knew one thing for certain. This was just the beginning. The universe had feared the sacred beast for centuries, but they had never imagined that a human, one simple explorer, would be the one to awaken it. And in that moment, Jace laughed. The universe was about to learn just how dangerous a human could be when they dared to dream the impossible. The ground trembled beneath Jace's feet as the sacred beast slowly rose, its massive body casting a shadow that seemed to stretch across the entire cavern. For a moment, everything stood still. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. The beast's eyes, glowing with ancient power, locked onto Jace, and in that instant, he felt something he could never explain. It wasn't fear. It wasn't even awe. It was a connection, deep and unexplainable, as if the beast had been waiting for him all along. Jace's heart raced in his chest, but he didn't back down. He had come this far. He had faced the impossible. And now, standing before the most feared creature in the galaxy, he refused to let doubt take over. He had spent his life seeking adventure, seeking answers, and now the greatest question of all lay before him. Could he tame the sacred beast? The beast took a single step forward, the ground shaking with each movement of its enormous claws. Its scales, like shimmering obsidian, seemed to pulse with a strange energy, radiating both beauty and terror. Jace instinctively took a step back, but he didn't run. He couldn't. He was drawn to it, as if an invisible thread connected them. He reached out a hand, slowly and cautiously, his breath shallow. He remembered the stories, the myths that said the sacred beast could only be tamed by someone who understood its power. But how could a mere human, someone who had no knowledge of the beast's history or the power it held, possibly form that kind of bond? But as his fingers grazed the creature's skin, something extraordinary happened. The beast didn't lash out. Instead, it leaned into his touch, its eyes softening as though it recognized something in him. It was as if it was testing him, gauging his resolve, his spirit. The air hummed with energy, and Jace felt the overwhelming presence of the creature all around him. The power was intoxicating, and yet, despite its might, there was an underlying sadness in its gaze, a sense of waiting for something, or perhaps someone. The minutes seemed to stretch into hours as Jace stood there, unsure of what would happen next. The sacred beast was silent, its immense form looming over him. Yet there was no aggression in its posture, no sign of anger. It was as if it was waiting for Jace to make the next move. Suddenly, the air shifted. The ground beneath him rumbled as a voice, deep, ancient, and impossibly vast, filled his mind. "You are not like the others." Jace's breath caught in his throat. The voice was not spoken aloud. It was inside his head, resonating through his very being. The beast was speaking to him, and somehow he understood it. "I'm not like the others," Jace whispered to the beast, his voice barely audible. "I don't want to control you. I want to understand you." The creature's gaze intensified, as if considering his words. For a brief moment, the cavern was silent except for the distant sound of water dripping from the stalactites above. Then, without warning, the sacred beast bowed its head, lowering it until it was nearly level with Jace. A strange warmth filled the air. The beast wasn't just acknowledging Jace. It was inviting him closer, as if it was offering him a chance to ride it, to become one with it. Jace swallowed hard, his mind racing. This was it. This was the moment he had waited for, the chance to prove that he was capable of doing what no one else could, to ride the sacred beast. But he knew this wasn't just about proving something to others. It was about proving something to himself. He had spent his life searching for answers. Now, standing in the presence of a creature whose power could reshape the galaxy, he realized the true question was no longer about conquest. It was about trust. Without thinking, Jace swung his leg over the beast's back, the scales beneath him warm to the touch. The creature's immense body shifted, and for a moment, Jace was unsure if he had made the right choice. Could he truly tame it? Could he survive what would come next? As the sacred beast stood up, its mighty wings unfurled with a sound that resonated like thunder. The air around them seemed to crackle, charged with energy. Jace's heart pounded in his chest, but a sense of calm began to wash over him. It was as if he and the beast were no longer two separate beings, but one. The beast's muscles rippled beneath him, and without a word, it began to move, walking with a power that shook the ground. Jace held on tightly, his eyes wide with wonder. They were no longer just a man and a creature. They were something more, something ancient, something powerful, something the galaxy would never expect. The moment they moved, the world outside the cave seemed to stir, as if the universe itself had sensed what was happening. The sacred beast had been awoken, and its rider had finally arrived. For centuries, the galaxy had feared this moment. It had been the stuff of legends, a story told in hushed whispers around campfires. But now, the legend was alive, and the universe was about to learn that the sacred beast had chosen its rider. And with him, a new chapter in the galaxy's history would begin. Jace, the unlikely human, had dared to ride the sacred beast, and now, nothing would ever be the same. The first few days after Jace tamed the sacred beast were unlike anything he had ever experienced. The power, the raw energy of the creature, surged through him every time they moved together. It was as if Jace and the sacred beast had become a single force, linked by something deeper than mere strength. The beast had chosen him, and Jace could feel it in every bone of his body. This was no ordinary bond. It was something ancient, something sacred. Jace spent every moment with the creature, learning its ways. He didn't just ride the sacred beast, he listened to it. In the quiet of the cave, when the world outside seemed far away, Jace would sit with the beast, speaking to it in a soft, almost reverent tone. And in return, the beast would communicate with him, not through words, but through feelings, visions, and flashes of memory. Jace saw images of distant worlds, of battles fought long ago, of civilizations that had risen and fallen, all of them intertwined with the creature's past. At first, the connection was overwhelming. Jace could barely comprehend the depth of the bond that was forming between them. It wasn't just the power of the beast that was breathtaking. It was the ancient knowledge it carried within. He could feel the weight of its history, the centuries of solitude and waiting. The sacred beast had been alive for eons, witnessing the rise and fall of galaxies, yet it had never been understood by anyone. Until now. Jace would often wake in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, after experiencing strange dreams that weren't his own. They were the dreams of the sacred beast, filled with echoes of the past, of its creators, of wars long forgotten, and of a time when it had been both a weapon and a guardian. These memories weren't just stories. They were vivid, real experiences that burned into his mind, leaving him with a sense of awe and dread. The more Jace learned, the more he realized the true power of the sacred beast. It was not just a creature of destruction. It was a protector, a being that had once been revered and feared by all. It had been created for a purpose, to keep balance in the universe, to protect the galaxy from forces too powerful to comprehend. But somewhere along the way, something had gone wrong. The beast had been abandoned, left to slumber in isolation, forgotten by those who had once worshipped it. But now it had a rider, Jace, and together they would face what was coming. The bond between them was tested the very next day when a powerful force arrived on the planet, drawn by the awakening of the sacred beast. Jace had been expecting this moment. The galaxy's most powerful empires had already taken notice of the creature's reawakening. They would stop at nothing to eliminate the threat before it could spread. As Jace and the sacred beast stood at the edge of the cave, watching the sky darken with the shadows of approaching warships, the creature turned its head toward him. There was no fear in its eyes, only calm. The bond they shared was now more than just mutual respect. It was understanding. The sacred beast trusted Jace, and Jace, in return, trusted the beast. Jace knew what he had to do. The galaxy had always feared the beast, but with him riding it, they would fear something else entirely. Not just the beast's power, but Jace's will, his determination. Together, they were a force no empire could ever hope to challenge. As the ships descended toward the planet, Jace climbed onto the beast's back, his heart steady. He wasn't just a man now. He was something more, something the galaxy would soon understand. The sacred beast roared, a sound so deafening it shook the sky, and in that moment, Jace knew that there was no turning back. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and now, with the sacred beast at his side, Jace was about to show them just how wrong they were. They were no longer just a human and a creature. They were a force of nature. Together, they would change the course of the galaxy forever. and the first step was to send a message to anyone who thought they could challenge them. The universe would learn that humanity's true strength wasn't just in its will to survive. It was in its ability to rise, to challenge even the most impossible odds, and to rewrite the rules of power. And with that, Jace spurred the sacred beast forward, charging toward the fleet of ships that had come to end them. The universe had no idea what was coming for it. The fleet of warships loomed on the horizon, their sleek, deadly forms blotting out the sky. They were here for one purpose, to eliminate the threat of the sacred beast. But they were not prepared for what was coming. They thought they knew power. They thought they understood fear. But nothing could prepare them for the storm that was about to hit. Jace's heart pounded in his chest as the sacred beast's massive wings beat the air with a sound that was almost deafening. The ground below shook with each powerful flap, and the air crackled with energy. He could feel the beast's pulse beneath him, synchronized with his own, as though the two of them had become a single, unstoppable force. From the distance, the warships began to move. They were large, heavily armed, and their guns were already primed, ready to fire. But they didn't know who they were facing. No one had ever tamed the sacred beast before. No one had ever had the nerve to try. The galaxy's most powerful fleets had all failed, and now they were here, underestimating the very thing that would destroy them. Jace spurred the beast forward, the creature's powerful legs carrying them across the land at an incredible speed. As they neared the first ship, Jace could see the terror in the eyes of the soldiers on board. They had never seen anything like this. No one had. A human, riding the legendary sacred beast, charging into battle like a god of war. The first blast came from the warship's cannons, a beam of destructive energy aimed directly at them. Jace braced himself, but before the shot could reach them, the sacred beast spread its wings and leaped into the air with astonishing speed. The blast missed by inches, and the beast soared high, its powerful wings pushing them further into the skies. From above, Jace could see the fleet in full force, dozens of ships, all converging on their position. They were relentless, and the fire from their guns became more frequent. But the beast was faster, stronger, and more agile than any of them could have predicted. Each time a shot was fired, it evaded the attack with ease, moving in ways that seemed impossible for something so massive. The sacred beast wasn't just an ancient weapon of destruction, it was a force of nature. Jace had felt its power from the moment he had touched it, but now he understood it. This wasn't about simply fighting. This was about survival, about the universe learning the truth. The sacred beast wasn't a relic. It was a living embodiment of balance. And now, with Jace as its rider, it had been awakened to restore that balance. They dove into the fray, targeting the first ship in their path. Jace could feel the beast's muscles tensing, preparing for the attack. With a mighty roar, the beast lunged at the warship, its claws tearing through the hull with ease. Sparks and debris exploded in every direction, and the ship's weapons fire ceased as it was consumed by the beast's fury. The remaining ships, witnessing the destruction of their comrades, began to retreat. But they were too late. The sacred beast was already among them, its massive body moving with a precision and grace that seemed impossible. Jace could see the fear in the eyes of the enemy commanders as they realized that they were fighting something far beyond their capabilities. One by one, the warships fell, either destroyed by the beast's raw power or fleeing in terror. Jace felt the connection between him and the creature grow stronger with each moment, as if the beast was feeding off the fear of its enemies. But it wasn't just power. It was strategy. It was instinct. The sacred beast knew how to fight, how to win. And with Jace guiding it, they were unstoppable. As the last of the ships retreated, Jace looked down at the battlefield below. The planet, once a peaceful world, was now scared by the aftermath of the battle. But Jace knew it had to happen. The galaxy had feared the sacred beast for centuries, and now it had shown them what true power was. But this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. Jace turned the beast back toward the horizon, where more fleets would come, where more enemies would try to stop them. The universe would soon realize that the days of underestimating humanity and the sacred beast were over. The galaxy would learn that when a human dared to ride the greatest force in the cosmos, there was no power strong enough to stand in their way. And with that, Jace and the sacred beast flew into the unknown, ready for whatever challenges the universe would throw at them. They had just begun their journey, and the entire galaxy would soon fear the truth. Earth was no longer weak. It had a power unlike anything it had ever known. The universe would never be the same again. The warships were gone, scattered to the far corners of space or lying in ruins across the surface of the planet. The immediate threat had been crushed, but Jace knew that this was only the beginning. The battle had sent shockwaves through the galaxy, but it was only the first ripple in a much larger storm that was brewing. The sacred beast, awakened from its long slumber, was now a force to be reckoned with, and humanity had become something more than anyone could have imagined. Jace sat atop the sacred beast, feeling the bond between them stronger than ever. The beast had calmed, its immense wings folding back against its body as they hovered over the destroyed battlefield. The once peaceful planet was now littered with wreckage and signs of war. But Jace didn't feel sorrow. This was necessary. It was a painful but essential step to show the galaxy that Earth was not a weak, defenseless planet. As he surveyed the damage, Jace couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility settling heavily on his shoulders. He had no army, no fleets of ships, and no galactic alliances. All he had was the sacred beast, its raw power, and the hope that the galaxy would finally understand what Earth was capable of. The universe had underestimated Earth for far too long, thinking of it as just another insignificant backwater world in a vast cosmos. But now, they would know the truth. Jace had heard the stories of the old empires, the ones that had fallen, the ones that had believed they were untouchable. They had once ruled the galaxy, enforcing their will across star systems with an iron fist. But as time went on, they had lost sight of the very thing that had made them great: respect. And now, the universe was shifting once again. Earth, a planet thought to be weak and insignificant, had just proven that it was stronger than any force the galaxy had ever known. Yet, as Jace sat there, atop the beast, something gnawed at the back of his mind. The victory was satisfying, but it was too easy. The enemy fleets had been no match for the combined might of the sacred beast and his newfound connection to it. The power they wielded was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in centuries, but Jace knew it was dangerous. Too much power, with no understanding of the responsibility that came with it, could bring about even more destruction. It wasn't long before the first signs of new threats began to appear on the horizon. Jace had barely settled into the quiet of victory when a familiar voice echoed through his mind, one that was deep and calm, like the rumble of distant thunder. It was the voice of the sacred beast. "The galaxy will not forget. They will come for us." Jace's heart skipped a beat. He had known this moment would come, the moment when the galaxy would respond, when the empires and warlords who had once ruled with power and greed would want to reclaim their status. They would never allow a human, and an ancient powerful beast, to disrupt their carefully crafted systems. Jace had already felt the fear in their retreating eyes, but it was only a matter of time before they returned, stronger and more determined than ever. His instincts kicked in. This was just the beginning of a much larger war, a war not only for survival, but for the very fate of Earth and its place in the galaxy. He was no longer just a simple explorer or an outsider. He was the rider of the sacred beast, and he had unknowingly taken on the mantle of something much greater. The universe had underestimated Earth before, but they would soon learn that the planet wasn't just a small corner of the galaxy. It was the center of something far more powerful. Jace turned to the sacred beast, feeling its mind connected to his, its ancient thoughts flowing into him like a steady current. The beast's massive eyes glowed with intelligence and wisdom, but there was something else, something old and worn. The beast had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the endless wars, and the rise of empires that had eventually crumbled under their own weight. It was a reminder that even the most powerful beings were not invincible. "We need to prepare," Jace said, his voice steady. "The galaxy will come for us, and we need to be ready. We can't let them tear everything down." The sacred beast nodded, its great head tilting as if in agreement. It understood the gravity of the situation better than Jace ever could. It had been part of the cycles of war and peace, destruction and rebuilding, for longer than any human could comprehend. But for the first time in eons, it had a partner. And that partner was Jace, a human who had dared to do what no one else had: awaken the sacred beast and ride it into battle. As they soared over the ravaged landscape, Jace's mind raced with possibilities. The galaxy was vast, and the empires that ruled it were powerful and well-organized. They wouldn't just come with armies, they would come with fleets, advanced technology, and weapons capable of leveling entire planets. The sacred beast was powerful, but it had been dormant for centuries. There was no telling what kind of force they would face when the real battles began. Jace turned to the beast once more, determination in his eyes. "We'll need allies. I can't take on the entire galaxy alone." The beast responded with a low growl, and Jace knew that it understood. They would need to find others who were not afraid to stand up to the tyrannical powers of the galaxy. Others who, like Jace, saw that Earth was no longer a planet that could be ignored. As they flew into the vastness of space, Jace felt the weight of the journey ahead of him. The universe had just witnessed the rise of something new, something that would challenge the very foundations of power. Earth had always been seen as weak, but with the sacred beast at its side, humanity was about to show the galaxy that it was stronger than anyone could have imagined. The galaxy may have feared the sacred beast, but it was now facing something much greater, a human who had the courage to ride it, and the will to see the galaxy changed forever. And Jace was ready for whatever came next. The sky above Earth had never looked the same again. The once peaceful blue planet now seemed to carry the weight of its new role in the galaxy. The pulse of war had begun to reverberate across the cosmos, and the universe was about to learn that Earth had gone from being the underdog to becoming a major force to be reckoned with. Jace stood at the edge of a massive cliff overlooking the ruins of the battle they had just won. The sacred beast was beside him, its immense form casting a long shadow across the landscape. The devastation of the warships, the fallen debris, and the scattered remains of the alien fleet were visible from here. But Jace wasn't looking at the destruction. He was looking at the future that had just changed for good. It had been a few weeks since the battle. The first wave of enemies had retreated, but the galaxy's response had been swift and expected. Rumors spread like wildfire, with whispers in every corner of the galaxy. The sacred beast is no myth. A human has tamed it. And now the Earth is a power to be feared. The implications were enormous. Earth, once considered a weak planet in the vastness of the universe, had suddenly become a symbol of defiance, a new power with the potential to reshape everything. Jace had no illusions about what lay ahead. He had learned quickly that the galaxy didn't take kindly to upstarts. The fleets that had been obliterated were only the beginning. More were coming, faster, stronger, and angrier. Earth had just drawn a line in the sand, and every empire in the galaxy would now want to erase that line. They would come to test Earth's strength, to destroy the beast, to crush humanity before it could become a true threat. But Jace wasn't afraid. He was ready. And the sacred beast was more than ready. It was waiting for the next challenge. The bond between Jace and the beast had deepened over the past weeks. They were not just allies. They were a single force, bound together by something primal and ancient. Every thought, every feeling, every movement felt as though it was shared between them. Jace could sense the beast's power, its immense energy flowing through him like a surge of electricity. But he also felt something else, the weight of responsibility. The beast had been created to protect balance in the galaxy, and it had been dormant for eons. Now that it was awake, there was no going back. Jace turned to face the sacred beast, feeling the deep connection between them. The creature's massive eyes glowed with an ancient intelligence, and for a moment, Jace wondered just how much the beast truly understood about the future. The past was filled with countless battles and wars, but now they were looking ahead. Together, they were no longer just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the chance to change everything. "We need to find allies," Jace said, his voice steady but full of determination. "We can't fight the entire galaxy alone. There are others out there, beings with power who will understand what we stand for. They're our only hope if we want to change the galaxy." The sacred beast's eyes locked onto Jace, its gaze unwavering. Without words, Jace could feel the beast's agreement. It had fought beside countless beings over the centuries, but it had never had a true partner, someone who understood its power and its purpose. Now, it had found one in Jace. Jace mounted the beast, feeling its muscles ripple beneath him. The connection between them had become seamless, like breathing. He spurred the creature into motion, and together they ascended into the sky, the winds of Earth howling around them. The first stop on their journey was clear. They needed to reach the oldest, most ancient civilizations in the galaxy, the ones that had once recognized the power of the sacred beast. They needed to find the ones who would ally with Earth, the ones who could see the truth. But they wouldn't be the only ones searching for alliances. Far beyond the edges of the galaxy, in the heart of a once powerful empire, word of the beast's awakening had reached the ears of the rulers who thought their dominance was unchallenged. These were beings who had long ruled the galaxy with fear and oppression, and they were not about to let some forgotten planet disrupt their control. The Galactic Coalition, the largest empire in the galaxy, had already begun to mobilize. They were a coalition of planets, each ruled by their own council, but all united under one purpose: maintaining their reign across the stars. The coalition was vast, its armies well-trained, its warships equipped with technology far beyond anything Earth had ever known. The Empire had long suppressed the knowledge of the sacred beast, burying the truth of its existence so deep that even most of its citizens didn't know of its legend. But now, the coalition had no choice but to acknowledge what was happening. The power of the sacred beast couldn't be ignored. And Earth was the key to unlocking a new chapter of history. The coalition's High Council had already issued orders. They would send an emissary to Earth, a representative to negotiate or to threaten. They knew that Jace, with the beast at his side, would be difficult to control, but they believed their strength, their sheer numbers, could overpower Earth before it became too much of a threat. It was the same strategy they had used for centuries to crush any rebellion. What the coalition didn't know was that Earth wasn't what it once was. Jace had awakened the beast, and in doing so, he had awakened something within humanity. A spark of resistance, a fire of defiance that would not be extinguished. Earth had always been underestimated, but no longer. The time had come for humanity to show the galaxy its true strength. Jace and the sacred beast were about to embark on a journey not just to survive, but to change the course of the galaxy forever. The empires would come. They would fight. They would test them. But Jace and the sacred beast would stand together, and they would show the universe the truth. Earth was no longer weak, and humanity, with the sacred beast by its side, was more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever known. The battle was just beginning, and the galaxy would soon learn that no matter how vast or powerful they were, they would never break the human spirit.